here locally, as in apps that we can use and are useful for us here locally, because most of the apps we use, they're developed by some huge company somewhere out in Cupertino, California, and they're not really, local, right? Like, they're local as in you can use them locally, sure, but they're not local in the sense that, like, they are made locally or they're for us here locally. And it's understandable because that's a smaller market. When you make an app, right, like, you want it to be available to everyone and be useful to as many people as possible. You don't want it to be, this is the app for Dalton, Georgia, and only residents in Dalton, Georgia will find this app useful. You're not going to make a whole lot of money doing that. And that tends to be the goal of making an app on a smartphone, is to make, money off of ads or just different paid services within it. So, it makes sense. It's not like they're out there to try to nab your money. It's just, that's business any more than a restaurateur is trying to rob you of your money. It's just business again. So no biggie. But I have curated a little bit of a list here of different apps that actually are local, which we can actually use here locally and are good for, everyday use. And I'm not being paid by any members of any creators of any of these apps or anything like that. None of the makers of these apps are giving me cash to talk about them or anything like that. So it's purely a list that I made because I think that the listener, you might find this a little bit, kind of cool, kind of interesting, kind of fun. And some of these, I have to warn, are available sometimes not on Android. If you're like me, you have an Android phone, then the app isn't actually going to be available for you or useful to you because it's not on the iPhone, or not on the Android, which is kind of annoying. Most of them, though, are on both Android and iPhone. If you have an iPhone, chances are you're going to be able to get any of these apps that you want. So not bad. But so there's a lot of different apps here locally. Actually, there's a pretty good amount. I was surprised when I looked at the list. It's pretty good, actually. So my criteria for this is an app that is nearly exclusively designed to be used here for us locally in Chattanooga. Different services that we can use here and would really only be useful to someone who is in Chattanooga. And I picked out a few, and some of them are actually really cool. So the Tennessee Aquarium has a app, actually, believe it or not, and it offers guided tours. It does all sorts of cool things. And again, not being paid by the Tennessee Aquarium by any means, but the Tennessee Aquarium does actually have an app. You can easily find it in your app store. Just go to your app store and search for Tennessee Aquarium. And that's the one that's, downtown on Aquarium Way, the one that's easy to find, the one with the triangles. Yeah, that one. So you can go there, and it actually has an app, and it's a little app for guided tours. If your phone has Bluetooth, it'll actually connect to little nodes throughout the place, and it'll actually broadcast information to you over those Bluetooth connections. So you can do sort of a little bit of a guided tour of the Tennessee Aquarium. And that's a great way to, find out more about the little fish or the snakes or the otters and the stingrays and the sharks and there's not a whale, but the penguins, maybe. Lots of cool stuff is at the aquarium. It's been a while since I've been, actually. I should probably go back because it seems like they've always got something new and cool there. So Tennessee Aquarium actually has an app. Every year, Riverbend comes out with a new app. I don't know why they do it that way, but they do. Every year, there's a new Riverbend app. The 2015 one, for some reason, is still on the Android App Store. I don't know if it's on the iPhone App Store. But the Riverbend app actually is still available. I don't know what use you would have for it. But every year, Riverbend comes out with a new app. And it's really useful because it tells you what's playing or who's playing on what stage. Which is, again, really useful because you can't carry around a program with you all day, but you can carry around your phone with you all day because everyone does it. So it's not that hard, actually. So with that Riverbend app, all you have to do is search what artist you're wanting to hear. It'll tell you who's playing when. It'll tell you where things are. It gives you an interactive map of the Riverbend location. All sorts of cool stuff available to you if you use the Riverbend app. And again, that's another great way to make sure that you are informed about what's happening here locally. Speaking of being informed about what's happening here locally, there is another local app that's designed just for that purpose. You can actually find out about what's going on locally in our area in terms of outdoor events, right? In terms of attractions, in terms of hiking, parks you might not know about, little events that are going on you might not know about. Explore Chattanooga is an organization that has a website, and it also has a mobile app. And the Explore Chattanooga app actually has an interactive map, again, another interactive map, and it shows you where the different events are going to be. and it shows you when they're going to be, upcoming things, different sporting events. There's all sorts of good stuff there on Explore Chattanooga. Again, that's the app. And kayaking, paddleboarding, cycling, hiking, if you're into any of that sort of thing, Explore Chattanooga can be there to help you out. I was actually reading an article on Explore Chattanooga not too long ago about kayaking to, or canoeing, either one, to that island. You know the one I'm talking about, that island in the Tennessee River that's right underneath the market, no, the Veterans Bridge. There's a little island there, and actually you can go camping on it, and I did not know that. And Explore Chattanooga had an article about how to do that, how much it costs to get in, because it actually does cost money, what you should bring, all that sort of thing. So it's really cool. I was glad to have that resource available to me, and it was overall good experience. 10 out of 10 for the Explore Chattanooga app. And you can get that easily on your Android phone, your iPhone. All you got to do, go to your app store, right? And then search for Explore Chattanooga, and it pops right up there for you, easy to find, and it's right there. So Explore Chattanooga is yet one more app you can use here locally. Another one is Noogavent. And Noogavent is kind of similar to Explore Chattanooga. It does a lot of the same things. It'll tell you what's going on where, basically, on Noogavent. And it'll tell you different events that are happening here locally. There's also Harvest Chattanooga, which is from a company called Subsplash Consulting. And it gets the latest sermons and information from Harvest Bible Chapel in Chattanooga. You'd actually be surprised how many churches have apps, and all the different news sources here have apps. There's also Preferred Care, which has an app, which is just about different caregivers. You can easily communicate with them, all sorts of cool stuff. There's a Chattanooga map, which you can access offline. Chattanooga Football Club has an app. The Fed EMP has an app. Traffic apps. There's one for Pilates, interestingly enough. There's one for entertainers. The Urban League, UTC has an app. The Chattanooga Welcome Guide is another app. There's a bike app, pizza delivery app. And that's another thing, by the way. Explore Chattanooga, of course, has an app. That's another thing, by the way. If you are looking to get, say, pizza, actually a lot, you'd be surprised how many pizza companies have apps. You'd be kind of shocked, maybe. And with those apps, generally speaking, if you order online with one of those apps, you actually get a better deal because you can insert coupons doing that. So, like, say you order from like Jet's Pizza, then you can actually, and they do have an app, by the way. Jet's Pizza has an app. You can order with that app for delivery or carry out, and then you can insert different coupon codes for your particular order. And you can actually save a lot of money doing that. Papa John's does the same thing. Like basically any pizza place is going to have an app that's going to have deals with coupons. So it's really, really useful. You'd be amazed how useful that is, especially if you're not actually in the right area. Say if you're out of town with friends, you're staying at a friend's apartment like I do a lot. You can actually insert their location and order the pizza straight from your phone, which makes things a heck of a lot easier, especially because then you can easily divvy up costs. They have a program where you can put in different credit cards to pay for one order. There's all sorts of really good benefits to buying with an app. And actually, sometimes apps for pizza places are better designed than the websites. I don't know why, but oftentimes that actually is the case. Papa John's is that way. The site is, it's decent, but it's kind of heavy. It's kind of a fat site. But the app just works really well. And again, Jets has an app too. Hey, all this talk about pizza and food has made me kind of hungry. And one great source for food here locally is Wimpy's, actually. In Saudi Daisy, Wimpy's is a good place to go if you're feeling a little bit peckish like I am, because I'm kind of starving. I haven't eaten today yet. I don't know why. I was going to go out and get food, but I kind of forgot. So if you're getting a little bit, up there with your hunger levels, you might want to consider going to Wimpy's, because really, really good food over there. Nice locally made food over at Wimpy's. So be sure to check that place out. Wimpy's here locally in Chattanooga. So definitely a great place to look that up. And by the way, here's a fun fact. If, say, you don't know how to get there, because I'm terrible with directions, I'll be honest. I'm kind of the worst with directions. It's really embarrassing, actually. So don't mention it again. But I'm really bad with directions. So I'm thinking, like, how do I forgot how to get there. I forget how to get my house sometimes. So I'll go, okay, Google, give me directions to Wimpy's. Not Wendy's. Okay, Google, give me directions to Wimpy's. There we go. So it tells me exactly where it is. As soon as I input that information, it tells me where it is. So it's a great way to find out where exactly the restaurant is. It tells you where, how to get there. And you can do this for basically anything, by the way. If you're looking to find out where a place is, you can just ask Google. If you have the Google Now app, that makes it especially easy. Like, say I want to go to Trade Bank of Chattanooga. So I can go, okay, Google, where's Trade Bank of Chattanooga?
Trade Bank Chattanooga is at 3835 Hickson Pike, Chattanooga.
Trade bonk. So sometimes it doesn't pronounce things exactly the way you want it to. Trade bonk. Oh, I played a game called Bonk when I was a kid. Oh, that's funny. But yeah, it'll tell you where different things are, like trade bonk. So if you're wondering where something is, you can just ask Google 9 times out of 10 and it'll just tell you. So if you want to know where Wimpy's is, you want to know where anything is, really, you can usually find out pretty easily. Like, say, if you want to know where Riverbend is, you can find that out too. Chattanooga R is an app that is not, annoyingly enough, is not available on Android, but it is available on the iPhone, and it does something kind of cool. Chattanooga R is a virtual reality view, or at least it purports to be a virtual reality view of Chattanooga. I should say augmented reality. So what happens is you hold up your phone around different areas in Chattanooga, and it'll actually have information floating there in the air. It activates your camera, and it looks like you're looking at a augmented reality image, basically. It's really, really cool stuff. It's kind of amazing, actually. Just the way it works is mind-blowing. I love augmented reality. There's so much cool stuff about augmented reality. It's just mind-bogglingly cool. But that's a story for another day. So you can use that with Chattanooga R. And again, there's Noogavent and there's the Eats app as well, which will tell you where different restaurants are, which might be a little bit more comprehensive than just asking Google, because you can always go, okay, Google, and then ask it where something is pretty easily. But Eats is going to be a little bit more comprehensive view, perhaps, of what's going on here locally, because I kind of care more about local than I do national. But when it comes to caring about locale and instead of national, there's someone who's got me beat. His name is David Tulis. So his show is on every weekday here from 9 to 11 on Hot News Talk Radio. And really, he's kind of got me beat when it comes to knowing about the locale, knowing about what's going on here locally, knowing about what's going on with the local people, caring about the locale here in Chattanooga. Got to say, David Tulis has me beat when it comes to caring about that sort of thing. His show is on from 9 to 11 right here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240 and hotnewstalkradio.com. He talks about the local economy and the free markets. There's nobody in Chattanooga who knows more about the free markets than David Tulis does, and his show's on every weekday from 9 to 11. This is Binary here on Hot News Talk Radio, live and local tech talk with me, the news director, Russell, here at Hot News Talk Radio. We're talking about your phone, your computer, your tablet, all the different resources for accessing the internet that you might have. We're talking about that right here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240 and hotnewstalkradio.com. And don't forget, we're on YouTube. If you go to YouTube and then search for Hot News Talk Radio, you can see us streaming live here in the studio. You can actually see what we look like here at Hot News Talk Radio. They're having a sales meeting back there. You can see them jibber-jabbering about boring sales, whatever. And you can see me talking about technology. I'm wearing a cool sweatshirt, by the way, that I got for Christmas. It's got guns on it. It looks like looks like just a regular sweatshirt. Here, I'll adjust the camera so you can see it. We got a webcam here. There we go. It looks like just a regular Christmas sweatshirt, but it's actually got an AR-15 on it. It's kind of funny. So you can see that if you go to the webcam here at Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240. Just search for Hot News Talk Radio on YouTube. You can see the live stream, and then you can see my really cool AR-15, or maybe it's an M16, or maybe it's an M4. It's got a really short barrel. I think it might be an M4. It's got AK-47s on it too. You can go to the YouTube and search for Hot News Talk Radio. You can see me streaming live here, and you can see my my cool gun shirt, because I like guns a lot. I think guns are really cool. Hey, by the way, guns are not going away anytime soon. Guns are staying here for a really, really long time. But they're probably going to get a little bit harder to buy. So what about buying them online? Like, what's the tech aspect of purchasing a firearm? Like, how do I do that? How do I just go on? Can I just go on the internet and buy a gun? Well, actually, yeah, you can. And it's actually surprisingly easy. It's not like, you see in the media where they're like, oh, you can go online and buy an assault machine gun that has a 14,000 round clip and it shoots guns at 8 million rounds per second. It's not like that. You're not carrying around an A10, chain gun in your pocket. It doesn't work that way. But you actually can purchase firearms online in a somewhat not convoluted way. There are two different websites that'll do that for you. Well, two that I know of. There's Gun Broker, which tends to be, pretty popular. It's like the eBay of buying guns. And then there's Arms List, which I think has a better interface. I think Arms List is a little bit better. Not that I would know anything about buying guns online because I've not done it recently. It's been a while. But you actually can buy guns on Arms List and Gun Broker. Those are two resources for buying guns online. Some sellers you can find locally who will be willing to meet up and do a private sale that way as well. So you don't have to bother with the whole background check nonsense. So you can do that if you go to Arms List or Gun Broker, and you can actually search for a locale. So you can search for Chattanooga, and then you can probably find someone who's selling something locally here. There are a lot of guns in Chattanooga. There are a lot of guns in Ringgold, Dalton, just Hamilton and Catoosa County in general have a lot of guns. And there are a lot of people willing to sell a lot of guns. And so you can meet up with them, I should say, through an app like Arms List or Gun Broker. And you can then contact them and purchase a firearm from a local person instead of buying it, from the national economy, because guns are actually a really good investment, believe it or not. Guns hold their value. Guns sometimes increase in value in cases of like so-called, assault weapons. Say any AK pattern rifle, any AR-15 standard rifle is going to increase in value nowadays. You buy an AR-15. Oh gosh, you could have bought a Norinco SKS back in like 95 for $100 something, and now 93. You could have bought one back in those days for like $100 something, and nowadays they're worth like 500. So yeah, they kind of increase in value a lot. Buy guns, dude, because they increase in value so much. But I digress. Anyway, you can do that with Arms List and Gun Broker. Guns are kind of like gold, because unlike gold, which is not particularly useful to you, guns kind of are. And much like gold, guns also increase in value. So, worthy investment. If you don't plan on shooting, if you're anti-gun, you can be, that's fine. But, buy one actually, because it increases in value. It's a pretty sound investment. Not that I'm a broker, but Gun Broker is a website you can go to. But anyway, so your local apps are actually there's a good selection of local Chattanooga apps. And there's a good reason for that. Here in Chattanooga, we have a lot of local tech-minded people who are building good websites, building good services, building good apps. Good stuff is coming out here in Chattanooga. There's a lot of great stuff here in our local area that sometimes maybe we forget about how high-tech we kind of are. Think about and I don't like them, but think about the bike system that we have here. And again, I don't like it. I think it's silly, but I see people riding them, so obviously it works. The thing downtown where you can swipe your card and you can rent a bike for like an hour at a time, and I think it's $10 per rental. Not bad. And that's a really high-tech thing. I don't know of a whole lot of cities that have that. Atlanta doesn't have that. And Atlanta's like the hub of the South almost. Chattanooga has the technology that Atlanta doesn't. And Atlanta is not going to incorporate that anytime soon. So Chattanooga, I know, is really pushing the whole bike thing. But honestly, Chattanooga is doing a not terrible job of it. The road layout is stupid. The road layout has always been stupid in Chattanooga. If you lived here for any amount of time at all, you can tell, especially downtown, the road layout is horrible. It's bad. It's awful. It's always been that way, and it's probably always going to be that way because the city is really old. It's from like the 1700s. It's a really dang old city. So the fact that the roads are as good as they are now, kind of a miracle. Thanks, Providence. Thanks. Yeah, yeah, the bike lanes are terrible. But again, that's a really cool technology that Chattanooga has that a lot of other places don't. So that's something local, it's high tech, and it's easily accessible. And that's something that a lot of other cities can't boast. New York City, good luck trying to get something new in New York City. Despite the name, there's not a whole lot new in New York City in terms of technological involvement or technological increases in prowess, I guess, in terms of just technological increases. Not a whole lot of that in different cities. But Chattanooga, hey, we've got it. We got the gig city, man. We got, 10 gigabit per second connections that these guys are selling from EPB. It's nuts. It's great to live here. It's actually really amazing to live here. So we have a local app scene. How many cities can boast a local app scene, man? Like, you've got local apps here just begging to be used. It's amazing. So again, to recap, you got Explore Chattanooga. The Tennessee Aquarium has an app. Riverbend has an app. Nooga Event is an app. That's Nooga Event, Noogavent is an app. Eats is another app. And Chattanooga R, if you have an iPhone, is another cool app that you can use locally here. And don't forget about Uber. There are a lot of national apps that are local in the sense that they have local applications like Uber, eBay. We're going to go over those in a few minutes right here on Hot News Talk Radio AM 1240 and hotnewstalkradio.com. One app you should definitely get is the TuneIn Radio app for your smartphone. Get the TuneIn Radio app and then search for Hot News Talk Radio. You can listen to us streaming live anywhere in the world right here, Hot News Talk Radio.
I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
On your signature, you can get $150,000. Can you believe that? $150,000 on your signature. Hi, I'm Bruce Krebs with the Entrepreneur Source. There's a program right now that you can get $150,000 on your signature with no pledge of collateral or personal guarantee. Call me at 423-875-5621 to learn more. 423-875-5621. You've been thinking about starting a business and becoming self-sufficient. Don't do it on your own. I have a proven track record for the last 13 years. 96% success rate. I can guide you into a franchise where you will pay yourself through the startup phase with very low or little risk. Call me now. I'm Bruce Krebs at 423-875-5621. 875-5621. And make sure to listen to the Entrepreneur Hour every other Wednesday from 11 to 12 o'clock here at AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. Call me now, 875-5621.
While politicians debate climate change and taking our guns, they leave America vulnerable to disaster. You need to act now to keep your family safe and prepared. Do you have an emergency plan? Do you have long-term storage food? Do you have the skills and mindset to survive a disaster? If not, what are you waiting for? Call P5 Preparedness right now, 423-602-2175. Do you honestly think the government is going to help you? If you do, you are wrong, dead wrong. Don't get caught unprepared. Let the experts at P5 Preparedness get you ready for any emergency or disaster situation. Today, we offer a wide range of classes for the beginner on how to prepare, as well as the expert prepper. We stock a wide range of supplies, including long-term storage food, water filtration, outdoor gear, tactical gear, and plate carriers. P5 Preparedness, East Brainerd Road between I-75 and Gun Barrel Road. You will see the Army Deuce and a Half truck, 423-602-2175, 1309 Panorama Drive, Chattanooga. P5preparedness.com.
Don't be a victim. Arm yourself today at Carter Shooting Supply and Indoor Range, offering the finest selection of personal firearms and ammo, especially the hard-to-find ammunition. You know the police can't protect you. They show up after the crime is committed. The ability to protect yourself, your family, and when called upon your nation is enshrined in the United States Constitution. Shop the largest selection of shooting supplies on their online store. CarterShootingSupply.com. Carter Shooting Supply and Indoor Range. The largest and cheapest selection in Chattanooga. 6210 Highway 58, Harrison. Call 344-1099. That's 344-1099. Keep your family safe by buying them a certificate for Carter Shooting Supply Tennessee Handgun Permit Class. And stop by today to consult one of their qualified experts. They'll fit you perfectly to the firearm that meets your needs. Call 344-1099. You'll always find the widest selection of new and used firearms at Carter Shooting Supply and Indoor Range. 6210 Highway 58, Harrison. Call 344-1099.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio with your Hot News Now update. Dr. Greg Martin, a representative in District 3 for the Hamilton County School Board, he's a chairman of the policy committee, has announced that he's named a special citizens advisory committee to aid the school board with a comprehensive review of its policies and procedures concerning discrimination, harassment, and hazing, bullying and intimidation, field trips, extracurricular activities, and related matters in public schools. A truck driver from Missouri has been arrested in Chattanooga after two women say he pointed a gun at them while they were driving on I-75. One of the women said that she was trying to pass the truck coming through Hamilton County when he held a handgun out of his driver's side window in his left hand. Deputies say they stopped the truck at the Bonnie Oaks exit, and when they did an inspection, they found marijuana and a .22 caliber handgun. And two Decatur men were arrested in Chattanooga after a pharmacist said the prescription they presented was for a long-dead doctor. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Expect lots of sunshine through the afternoon. Chilly but nice, highs near 45. Tonight, clear, cold, lows upper 20s. For Thursday, a beautiful day. Sunny, much milder highs, mid and upper 50s, with more clouds and some showers on Friday. Comedian Tim Hawkins will be at Abba's House in Hickson Sunday, January 24th at 6 p.m. Don't miss this night of laughter for the whole family. Tickets available at Abba's House Bookstore and Cafe or online at abbashouse.com/Tim Hawkins. And I'm Sports Team 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Ward. On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
When the weather turns bad, turn to AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. On the net, hotnewstalkradio.com. Follow us on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook. From the Hot News Talk Radio Weather Center. Chattanooga, we've got you covered. When the weather turns bad, the Tennessee Valley turns to Hot News Talk Radio.
Go, 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 go. You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Oh, the weather. It's the thing that kind of everyone wants to know about and everyone talks about because there's nothing else to talk about when you meet somebody new. You always default to the weather because, I mean, come on. You meet somebody new, it's always an awkward thing where you're like, hey, how are you? Oh, good. How are you? I'm great. So, man, it's been like freezing every night. You know, the heater in my car doesn't work. So I've been driving to work every day with no heater in my car, probably a loose hose or something. I don't know. But yeah, so how are you? You know, it always works out that way. It's stupid and it's terrible. But if you want to know the weather for your small talk purposes, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different weather apps that I've put together that are, I mean, I built them, that are actually really good. There's a heck of a lot of weather apps simply for the reason that everyone seems to want to know what the weather is like. I just threw my pen across the room because I don't need that crap. I don't need no pen. So there's a bunch of different, and I just got 7. I'm writing down another one. There we go. There's a bunch of different weather apps that you can use that are really, really good. So I've put together a list here, and let's go through them and do some of the pros and cons, what's different about them, what's not different about them. There's probably not a whole lot of difference actually between some of them. So the first one is actually Weather Underground. No, not the 1960s terrorist Bill Ayers group that blew up a monument that time and I think killed somebody, and the guy keeps doing interviews with like Megyn Kelly for some reason. Not that Weather Underground. No. Weather Underground as in the app that does weather. And also it's a website, and I use it quite a lot actually. Most of the time when I get my weather just to find out what weather is like here, I use the Weather Underground. So it's got the Russell Stroud seal of approval, I guess. Weather Underground is really good for that. Weather Channel. If you watch the Weather Channel because you really like easy listening music and dramatic shows about hurricanes tearing up people's houses and people wearing North Face jackets, the Weather Channel app is actually pretty dang good. It's got a lot of the same information that you'll get on every other weather app, but it does have some nice graphics. It looks good. A lot of these weather apps are kind of just a toss-up of which interface you like better. Do you like white clouds floating across your screen, or do you like solid, simplistic graphics that Reddit would love? It's up to you. So Weather Channel is another good app. I kind of like the Weather Channel one. It's a little bit too pretty for me, just because there's a lot of like flashy graphics going on, and I not my thing. I like my weather apps to just tell me the weather. Tell me the weather. That's all I want. Tell me the weather. So that's another reason I like the Google Now weather, but we're going to talk about that in a second. So the Weather Channel is another weather service that you can use that's pretty decent. Aviation WX, which is shorthand for weather. What do you know? Aviation WX is another good weather app. It's usually, as far as I can tell, it's only on iPhone. I don't think it's on Android, but it does give you pretty accurate weather, especially forecasts tend to be really accurate simply because it's for aviation purposes. If you're flying, obviously you need more accurate weather than I would need, because I need to know basically it's above freezing or it's below freezing or it's really hot or it's really cold or it's going to rain. Like, that's what most of us want to know. Is it going to snow this weekend? No? Okay, that's all I need to know. That's most of us. But people who are into aviation, especially balloon aviation, they need to know what the weather's like in a really, really accurate way, a really accurate manner. They need it down to the second decimal point, right? They need to know that it's going to be 42.01 degrees, because that change in temperature means that they have to adjust their fuel concentration or whatever pilots do. So Aviation WX is a good app for getting really accurate weather. WeatherBug is the thing that for some reason everyone installs on their computer. It's got a little widget and it takes up a lot of memory. It was the boon of everyone's Windows XP experience. Yeah, the WeatherBug is a good actually mobile app. It's not bad. It tells you the weather in a nice, concise manner. It's got simplistic, kind of pretty graphics. WeatherBug is a good app. AccuWeather is the one that gets a lot of corporate sponsorship. Most of the time, if you see a third-party weather widget, it's usually powered by AccuWeather. You're going to see that a lot. Any app that offers weather that's not one of the major ones, chances are it's getting its weather from AccuWeather. So you may as well get it from the source. It's kind of like a lot of news organizations just get their news from the AP. So just go to the AP, right? It's sort of the same thing with AccuWeather, where it's like all these different weather things get their weather from AccuWeather. So just go to AccuWeather. It's basically the same idea. Yahoo Weather is another app. If you're integrated into the Yahoo user experience, whatever that's like, then you can use Yahoo Weather. And again, it's not a bad weather app. Yahoo Weather, it tells you the weather. Most of what it comes down to for me is file size. I'll be honest with you. And AccuWeather does have a decently low file size. Weather Underground is pretty low too. Here's the thing about apps. The prettier they are, the bigger they are, generally speaking. So if there's an app that has 3D graphics, it's going to have a lot of memory, or it's going to take up a lot more memory than one that just has simplistic 2D, Super Nintendo graphics, because 3D graphics take up more space. It's just how it is. It's just the laws of nature. So if you're wanting to save space, you're wanting to save memory, then you're going to want to get the lighter app than the heavier one that has a lot of cool, pretty graphics. Which is why I actually like Feedly over Flipboard when it comes to news apps. And again, totally up to you. Feedly's a good app. Flipboard is a good app. They're both really good apps. No problems with them whatsoever. I've used both. I use both. But I tend to go for Feedly for two reasons. One, storage space. I don't have unlimited storage space in my phone. I got the 4 gigabyte Motorola Moto G, and I have a 8 gigabyte SD card in it. I'm actually, seriously, when I leave, I'm going to get a bigger SD card. That's actually one of the things that's on my shopping list for today is a 32 gigabyte SDHC card when I leave the office. So there you go. That's one of the things I'm going to be doing when I walk out the door. But yeah, I don't have unlimited space. I don't have unlimited memory. I don't have unlimited battery power either. And that's the second thing. The first one is memory. Second one is battery power, because heavier, more intensive apps use more battery power, because it takes more power to send that juice to the GPU, the graphics processing unit, to then get those nice, pretty cool graphics on your screen. So you're going to want the lighter app if you're going to want performance out of your phone. I have a Motorola Moto G, and it gives me an estimate if I go to battery. And your Android phone will do this too, by the way. Go to settings. Scroll down there right now. My phone's running fast today too. I'm pretty happy about that. Go down to settings, and on the second panel, you'll see, not sound and notification, you'll see battery, and it'll tell you how much battery power you have left. So if I'm continuing to run my battery at the current load, then it will last until 10 o'clock a.m. tomorrow. Yeah. My phone does not take up much battery power at all to run. I've got about 23 hours left of battery power on 79% charge. Now, again, it's not actually going to last until 10 a.m. because I'm going to use it between now and then. That's at a very, very light load. But still, it is going to last me until at least midnight, because my phone almost always does. And it charges really fast too. So that's one of the benefits actually of an Android phone over an iPhone, is the battery power is, generally speaking, really good. The Moto G especially is really, really good about battery. I've constantly impressed with how good the Moto G is with battery. I cannot say enough good things about the Moto G battery life. It's kind of incredible. I've not seen an iPhone except for the 5C, which tends to be kind of okay. I've not seen an iPhone have that good battery life yet. It could happen. There are technical limitations. So Apple could definitely totally come out with an iPhone that has a 24-hour battery. That could definitely happen, but it hasn't yet. So iPhone batteries tend to be kind of awful. iPad batteries are really bad. iPad mini batteries are also really terrible. So there's a lot of negatives when it comes to Apple batteries. But again, if you want an iPhone, there's nothing wrong with an iPhone. This is the thing about the whole iPhone Android debate. It's totally up to you, because honestly, I'm an Android guy. I'm a Google guy. I like Google. I like Android. But I will admit, Apple makes good phones. People like Apple phones. People develop apps for Apple phones, for the iPhone. There's not a problem with getting an iPhone. And that's coming from a hardcore Android guy. Get an iPhone if you want an iPhone. That's so fine. Do your research and say, okay, do I want an iPhone? Do I want an Android phone? And here's the pros and cons to that. And hey, if you like the iPhone better than the Android, get an iPhone. I'm not taking sides on this one, honestly, because if you like one better than the other one, go ahead and buy it. There's no problem with that. You get a better deal with it through your phone plan. Hey, fine, go buy it. That's totally fine. If you like Android, hey, go buy an Android phone. That's totally fine. There's a whole roster of really good Android phones you have to choose from. Obviously, Motorola is making pretty good phones. The Moto X is the higher powered version of the Moto G. You have 3 tiers of the Moto series, as far as I know. There's the Moto E, which is the really low rung. Then there's the Moto G, which is sort of mid-range. And then there's the Moto X, which is their higher powered one. That's getting really good reviews. All the Motorola phones tend to get pretty good reviews. So you kind of can't go wrong. Then there's the highest end of the spectrum is Google's Nexus phones, which are manufactured by different manufacturers every cycle. So the Nexus line is the baseline. It is Android. It's pure Android. There's nothing built into it like Samsung tends to do. If you want a Samsung, you can get the Samsung Galaxy S6, I think is a new one. I tend to not like Samsung phones, I'll be honest with you. I don't think the Galaxies are that great. There's a lot of just bloat in the Android experience. I don't think the Samsung phones are that good anymore. And it's just me. I tend to like the baseline, just basic, it works, it's fine experience, but it's up to you. Again, it's totally up to you which phone you want to get. If you want to get a Nokia 8210 or whatever the old, the T9 interface phones were, you can totally do that. And that's fine. If you want to get one of the really old Motorola brick phones, you can do that. And actually some of them still work. That's fine. Nokia made the first smartphones, though, I will say, and they were really, really cool. But anyway, whole nother story for a whole nother day. Probably won't get to it today. I hope we don't get to it today because it'll take 4 hours and we only have 12 minutes. This is AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio. We are everywhere. You can listen live to Hot News Talk Radio over at hotnewstalkradio.com, which is our website. Go to hotnewstalkradio.com and you'll actually hear us streaming live on our website, hotnewstalkradio.com. You can actually hear us streaming live there. As soon as you go to the website, it's boom, right there, blasting in your eardrums, blowing out your ears. Now you can't hear anymore, which is too bad because you should also get the TuneIn Radio app for your smartphone. All you have to do is go to TuneIn, actually go to your app store, skipped a step, go to your app store on your phone, and then search for TuneIn Radio, and then search for, once you've gotten that, search for TuneIn, or search for Hot News Talk Radio in TuneIn. There we go. And you can listen to Hot News Talk Radio streaming live to your phone, which is a great way to listen, actually. If you have a Bluetooth-enabled radio, then you can sync up your phone with your radio, and you can listen to us streaming live that way over your phone to your radio, to your eardrums, which you just came back from the doctor because you blew them out listening to hotnewstalkradio.com. So go to the TuneIn Radio app on your smartphone. You can actually listen to us streaming live that way. I do that a lot at my house because for some reason, in Ringgold, reception is not that great in my area because I live in a weird place. My compound, ever since the FBI raided it, for some reason I haven't been able to pick up the radio very well. So I don't know what the deal with that is. Probably a jammer. I can't use my cell phone either sometimes. So I don't know. Wi-Fi is spotty too sometimes at my compound. I wish they'd quit stupid ATF. But anyway, yeah, you should definitely go to the TuneIn Radio app on your smartphone, and you can listen to us streaming live that way on the TuneIn Radio app on your smartphone. So one more really great way to listen to us streaming live on your smartphone. There are a lot of options when it comes to web browsers on your smartphone, believe it or not. A lot of people don't know that you don't have to use Chrome or you don't have to use Safari on your phone. You actually don't. There are two more options that are really good. And there's another one, but it's based on Firefox, so we'll just go with it. Opera and Opera Mini are two web browsers. Opera Mini is really good if you really want to save data. Opera Mini is surprisingly lightweight. It's like 5 megs, I think. It's really small. Let me look it up, actually. I'll go to my app store here on my phone. And if I go, come on, phone, wake up. Grab a little makeup. There we go. So if I go to Opera Mini on my phone, then I can see how big it is. And by the way, if you're on Android, the best way to see how big an app is, tap on read more on the description, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and it'll say size. It's 3.42 megabytes for the web browser Opera Mini. That's really small. How big is Chrome? I guarantee you Chrome is bigger than that. Let's see, Chrome. Let's go to the Chrome web browser. I already have it installed for some reason, even though I never use it. Read more. There we go. 53.65 megs for Chrome. That's kind of big. I'm going to uninstall it because I never use it. Yes, I will uninstall Chrome. Yeah, 53 megabytes for Chrome. You don't need that. You can use the App Store and get a different web browser and save yourself some space. If you get Opera Mini, you're saving yourself a lot of space that way. Now, the bad thing about Opera Mini is it doesn't handle tabs very well. I think Firefox is the best mobile web browser, personally. That's just me. Opera is really good. I think Firefox is really good. Chrome has its ups and downs. It's just up to you. There's privacy reasons why I don't like Chrome that much, especially on the computer. But again, that's my personal preference. If you're fine with Google Chrome, all the more power to you. When you think about it, Google has a huge portfolio. Think about all the stuff Google's involved in, right? The web browser, the internet search engine, right? It's got all the different YouTube, right? It's got research into all sorts of brand new technologies. It's got self-driving cars. Google is all over the place with its investments. It's in the defense industry, for heaven's sake. Google is just all over the dang place with what it invests in. It's kind of crazy. So yeah, Google is a giant. It is a giant when it comes to everything it does. It's huge. But anyway, that's a story for another day yet again. One of the apps that I really like to use on my smartphone is Periscope, actually, because I can go to Periscope on my phone here. And let me just open up my phone again. So I can go to Periscope on my phone. And what I do is I can actually, it comes up with a world map. And you should definitely download the Periscope app on your phone, by the way. You won't regret it. Go to Periscope, and then you can search. Actually, you can follow people on Periscope, and you can carry over from Twitter. If you're already following people on Twitter, then you'll start following them on Periscope as well. But if you go to the world map, you can zoom in, and there's actually not anybody streaming in Chattanooga right now. But you can go to anywhere on the map. You're like, there's 2 people streaming in Nashville right now. And what it is it's people who are live streaming from their phones straight to you in the Periscope app. When there was that hotel fire in Dubai, you might remember, we broke in to break that story, actually. When there was that hotel fire in Dubai, then we were actually streaming, or we were watching a stream of it happening in Dubai. So it's a great way to find out what exactly is going on, because there was somebody who was right there across like 2 or 3 buildings from it, and we were actually watching his live stream there from that hotel in Dubai. And right now there are 3 people streaming, 2 people streaming in Dubai, another person streaming in Al Ain in the United Arab Emirates. Or sorry, Al Ain is actually in Oman. Pardon me, I was wrong. So you can actually watch people streaming from their smartphones. We actually do regular streams on Periscope. Eric here at the office does streams on Periscope. The owner will do Periscope streams as well. So search for Hot News Talk Radio on Twitter. If you're following Hot News Talk Radio on Twitter, you can sign in with Twitter on your Periscope account, and then you'll get an update whenever someone you're following on Twitter starts up a Periscope stream. So it's a great way to stay informed about what your follower base is doing, what people you're following are doing. It's just a great way to stay informed. And Periscope is actually really good for local news. When there was that shooting in San Bernardino, I was looking at Periscope streams, and there are people streaming police cars whizzing by and all sorts of other stuff. So again, that's a great way to stay informed, is to actually use the Periscope app and see what the heck is going on, because a lot of the time it's confusing, and you want eyewitness local people on the ground telling you what's happening. And there are generally two really good resources for that. Ustream, actually, if you are worried about a breaking news event, you can go to Ustream and then see what people are streaming there, and you can then see all the different live streams from Ustream. For instance, when there were the protests in Baltimore, I was watching a guy just streaming on Ustream walking down the street, and he was right there in with the thick of it in the protests. So Ustream is a great way to get local news. Twitter, again, you can see people who are live tweeting local events as they're happening or international events as they're happening, people who are on the ground, people who are verified to be on the ground. Let's face it here. When you're watching the news and they're showing photos from the scene, it's not a live video. They're showing photos from the screen, they're showing photos on the screen from the scene. Confusing. Chances are they're nabbing those from Twitter, and that's fine. But chances are they're doing that. So if you want to stay informed yourself, you can actually go on Twitter and find local news there, or national or international news there. You can get photos from people who are actually there, and it's another great way to get your news. The citizen journalist tends to be one of the best journalists, generally speaking, anyway. There's a lot of great ways to gather your news that way. You can also aggregate your news into Twitter and then follow your Twitter accounts on Flipboard. So you can follow a Twitter account like it's a newspaper or any other news organization, and you can actually follow it on Flipboard, the Flipboard news app for your phone. So lots and lots of great ways to keep informed and to stay up to date with what's going on, both locally, nationally, and internationally. All right here, we bring you the news here on Hot News Talk Radio AM 1240 and hotnewstalkradio.com as well. But what about local apps? Well, we gave a rundown, and let's go through it again. There's a lot of different local apps that we can use here locally in our area that are actually built for Chattanooga and people living around Chattanooga. So you have the Tennessee Aquarium, which actually has its own app. The Tennessee Aquarium will give you guided tours while you're there if you have the Tennessee Aquarium app on your phone. And I was really surprised when I found out about that. But what it does is if you have Bluetooth on, it has little Bluetooth sort of hot points, and you can then sign into them with your phone, and it'll give you the information about wherever you are. So let's say you're standing in front of the penguins and you have Bluetooth on, it'll sense that and send you the article or send you a video or an audio clip of the penguins or of the stingrays if you're in front of those, or the otters or whatever. So the Tennessee Aquarium is surprisingly high tech in how it handles guided tours. You're gone are the days of having the tape recorder with the headphones where you walk around and it gives you the guided tour that way. It doesn't work that way anymore. Now people use their smartphones, and that's honestly it's the best way to do it. The smartphone revolution is permeating every aspect of our lives. There is not one thing I can think of that hasn't been affected by the rise of the smartphone and the rise of the computer in everyone's hand. It's really an amazing thing. And there are so many ways to take advantage of that here locally. And fortunately, a lot of organizations, a lot of businesses are taking advantage of that. If you see a business here locally, check it out and see if they have an app, because a lot of them actually do. We're on TuneIn as an example. There are a lot of different retailers that are on different websites here locally, or different apps here locally. Groupon, if you're looking for deals for local businesses, you can use the Groupon app and find all sorts of different deals. There are hotel apps if you want to stay at the Chattanooga for a night if you want, so you might be able to get a discount that way, sort of a staycation. My family did that one year and it was really good, actually. Nooganomics will tell you all the different events going on locally in our area. Another one, Explore Chattanooga, will do a lot of the same stuff. It tends to focus more on the outdoors, which if you're like me is terrible because I hate going outside. But if you like going outside, Explore Chattanooga is a great app for that. It'll list maps, different attractions, accommodations. It'll do an event schedule, all sorts of great stuff on the Explore Chattanooga app. Eats will tell you different local restaurants, and you can actually do that with Google too. If you just search in Google local restaurants, it'll actually come up with restaurants that are in our area, and then you can aggregate them. You can list them by locale, like how close they are within a mile proximity. You can have them listed by price range, have them listed by rating, have them listed by distance from you, all sorts of different things. You can have it sort by what kind of food it is. Like if you want Chinese, it'll list all the different Chinese restaurants. For instance, I can do this right now. Open up my phone here. Okay, Google. Today, please. Okay, Google. Chinese restaurants locally.
Here is Chef Wings.
See? So now I get a different, a list of all the different local Chinese restaurants. So I can do, okay, Google, give me some Chinese restaurants. And now I have a different, another directory of all the different Chinese restaurants here locally. So it's really cool. You can do that for a lot of different things. If you want Italian, Chinese, whatever, you can you can use Google, and then it'll actually tell you where the different restaurants are. Very useful. I used it, I think, a Saturday because I couldn't decide where the heck to eat. And I have that problem a lot because there's a lot to eat around here. So I just used Google to find out what was local and drove there, and it was great. You can also list when it's open. Google will tell you when a restaurant is open as long as it knows. This is Binary here on Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240 and hotnewstalkradio.com. Colin Cowherd is up next from 12 to 1 right here on Hot News Talk Radio. He is our local or our national sports expert. He is the #1 sports radio show ever. Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240 and hotnewstalkradio.com.